Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and a lot of you guys have been asking my thoughts on the lack of changes for Outlaw Rogues. Did Blizzard forget the party spec of Rogue? Is there hope, or should we all jump ship? In this video, I kind of want to take a look at some of the forum posts of people talking about Outlaw, which is great because this is the most attention I've ever seen Outlaw get in a long while. So I want to talk about Outlaw, bring up a few forum posts for images for reference, and just give you my thought processes on the Outlaw and how they're planning in BFA. I guess I shouldn't have to mention this, but we are in BFA Alpha, as in it's not the release date. We're not even in the beta, so there's probably going to be a lot of changes to come. So again, take this video with literally the smallest, the tiniest grains of salt, and all the changes so far with the tiniest grain of salt, because they're not indicative or representative of the final product. And with that, I think we can actually begin our video. I've been playing Outlaw Rogue since the start of Legion. Hell, I was playing it in the beta of Legion and trying it out and trying this and trying that, and I really did enjoy the spec in the long run, and I still do to this day. At first, when I heard the news of us Combat Rogues being replaced with Outlaw Rogues, I was not happy with the idea. I didn't even like the name Outlaw, but the specialization really did grow on me. The RNG mechanic I thought was interesting and something worth exploring. I liked the things like grapple hook, my parry, my cloak, how the cloak would heal me when interacting with my artifact weapon, the artifact weapon itself, the playstyle change, the fact that I had a concealed pistol. Cannibal Barrage, Killing Spree was still there just as the talent option, and I thought it was just very interesting and really drew me in. I'm somebody who IRL, I don't like trying new things. I don't like going to new fast food joints and new places to eat. I don't really like eating and trying new foods. I don't even really like going to new places. But when it comes to video games, I'm a huge fan of changes happening in the game, class changes, patch updates, changes to abilities, changes to whatever. I like playing my video games and adapting to brand new changes. So Outlaw ended up working pretty well for me. I like the cooldown reduction mechanic for it, but the spec came out of the woodwork a little bit rough around the edges. Off the bat, this is something we can see even in forum posts today. A lot of people still complain about the Outlaw Rogue spec, but I can really nail it down to a couple different things that I think could be improved. A lot of people talk about the talents and how a lot of them are not creative or not all that competitive against the specialization. So I think changing our talents to be more competitive to one another would be great. Another thing people are talking about is the spec is kind of like a piratey rogue, but it doesn't truly invest itself into being a pirate. So maybe there's something Blizzard could do in order to make it a little bit more stand out, a little bit more piratey, to have a little bit better class fantasy from its abilities. And last thing that everybody talks about, and I mean everybody talks about this, is the RNG of Roll the Bones, and if it's possible to either fix it or remove Roll the Bones altogether. Now I'm going to break down the video in these three topics and kind of just go over them in the order that I mentioned. The first row I want to talk about is Cannibal Barrage, Killing Spree, and Alacrity row, which is just a poorly designed row. Because of the specialization, it relies on run-throughs where you deal the most amount of damage. So which talent ends up doing better for your run-throughs? Cannibal Barrage adds a nice flavor, Killing Spree is a good old favorite, but Alacrity gives you more haste, which means more run-throughs. The reason Cannibal Barrage and Killing Spree are also choked even more to the point where you have to go Alacrity, because it's the only talent that really does any damage, unless you want to PvP with Killing Spree a little bit here and there, which I can understand that a little. But Alacrity ends up being better because of Blade Flurry as well. Blade Flurry is where most of your AoE comes from. So Cannibal Barrage ends up really losing out, Killing Spree ends up losing out, and Alacrity just fuels every aspect that's already working for the spec. There are a couple of different options. Some people are saying make Alacrity baseline, remove Alacrity altogether, or buff Killing Spree and Cannibal Barrage. My thought processes are different, and they're kinda in line with what Blizzard is doing. Apparently some people were unhappy with the loss of Parlay, which is one of the most garbage abilities I've ever seen. Basically the person suggesting, are we getting rid of the pirate class fantasy altogether? It strikes me as odd that going into an expansion that so heavily features pirates and piratey things, that Outlaw Rogues are losing the piratey class fantasy. I will admit, Bribe is actually a cool ability because you can utilize it in Mythic Plus in order to mind control mobs that can give you buffs and debuffs, and it's very niche and unique. But I'm completely okay with losing this ability. It'd be kind of cool if they were to just bring it back but make it unusable in Mythic Plus because it's just a flavor ability. Parlay, though, was pretty much garbage. It basically functioned just like a sap. Not your monk sap, where you can in-cap a target, but instead it functions like a sap, as in the target can't be in combat, and it takes you out of stealth. And it costs energy, but it was a range ability, so you could sap 2 targets at once. And that's about it. And that was the end of it. Not a lot of people played it. It had very specific uses. So the replacement of a talent, Blinding Powder, which reduces the cooldown of your blind and increases range, is a lot more in line and competitive with Dirty Tricks and Prey on the Weak, which Prey on the Weak now also functions with Between the Eyes. That whole talent row is what we needed. More competitive talents, trash the garbage ones out, and give us a lot more viable options, and then you can nerf them and buff them as needed as the expansion goes on. Right now, Blizzard is trying to tone back Outlaw. One of the biggest benefits of the spec is the fact that it has AoE out of the wazoo with Blade Flurry. Blade Flurry is a mechanic that worked really well for combat, but I feel like transitioning into Outlaw, it just doesn't stick. Blizzard is making Blade Flurry more of a charge-based system, so you don't always AoE, but then they also are taking off the taxation of the energy, so you have to be more careful when you do turn on your AoE, because it has limited amount of charges and you kind of have to wait for a cooldown, but then you're not playing the mechanic of, oh, I just have AoE up all the time, haha, and I also won't have that slow down and lethargic energy regen. I think instead of that, which I actually like that idea, it takes away a lot from the run-through, makes on its own Cannibal Barrage or Killing Spree a little bit more competitive as alacrity starts to fall behind because you don't have constant uptime on AoE. Why do we make Cannibal Barrage our AoE? Why can't Cannibal Barrage be this like poison bomb type of ability where that'll be our AoE ability? Functions a lot like Death and Decay, maybe has like a 10-second cooldown and has a slow effect, can be doing a lot less damage, and take out Blade Flurry out of the spec altogether. Keeping old relics of what was a combat rogue spec, I think, is not the best way of doing it. I think what they need to do is, like with survival, reshape your AoE, reshape your abilities, and really take away old content and kind of bring in new content for it, and really redesign the spec with that whole piratey feel. Plus, Cannibal Barrage as an AoE will feel pretty piratey, so I think this accomplishes 2 things. Now, the Roll the Bones, the big one, the elephant in the room that a lot of people are not sure what to think about. Roll the Bones is an RNG based mechanic, but I think it's so crucial to the specialization. A lot of people say we should just replace it and throw it away because no one likes RNG in Legion. Fine, let's say we did replace Roll the Bones and we just added Slice and Dice as the baseline, and there's no way for you to even pick Roll the Bones. That would make Outlaw Rogue the most boring playstyle you've ever seen. You literally build combo points, get your Slice and Dice, then build combo points, and then use your finisher. Then build combo points and use your finisher. Then build combo points and that's it. That's all you do. That is so boring. You don't have a dot to maintain. Your playstyle doesn't change. Roll the Bones does a few things. One of the things that I like about it is it changes your playstyle. Even though it's not a drastic change, the slight alteration to your basic rotation keeps things fresh and exciting, because this allows you to change rotation slightly, to adapt and adjust, and that feeling feels so good because you don't feel like your rotation is the same exact thing and it doesn't feel predictable. It feels that you are actually engaging with the game, unless that's not what you want to do and you just want to play a rotation that's scripted. I think that is one of the strengths of Roll the Bones. So if Blizzard can somehow keep that part together of Roll the Bones without completely destroying the specialization and destroying that mechanic, then I think that that is something they can do into BFA. Survival Hunters got a really good facelift into BFA. They're more standardized, they are better designed, they have aspects that really do call that hunter aspect to it, and they're maintaining the fact that they are a hunter by giving them an ascendance based ability that makes your melee abilities 40-yard range like that of a normal hunter for a short moment. Those kind of changes excite me because they're taking a spec that basically no one played into a spec that everybody wants to play, and it makes me think, can they do the same for Outlaw? I like Roll the Bones, and I like what makes Outlaw Rogue because it makes it a spec that not everybody and the mother can play it. But if they do want to water it down for BFA so that everybody has access to the spec, this is my solution. I think they should change the buff mechanic to maybe 3 different buffs, and the buffs don't actually buff anything, they just add you a difference of playstyle that changes how you play a rotation. A lot like how Windwalker monks have their mastery where they can't do the same ability back to back, so the rotation has to be always different. They have to alternate abilities. They can't just blackout kick, blackout kick, blackout kick. They have to maybe jab, blackout kick, jab, do the spin kick, blackout kick, then jab, and then, you know, it changes. So the fun part about Outlaw is the change in rotation, but the buff itself, just for maintaining Roll the Bones buff that changes the rotation, that buff itself could be a significant increase of your damage, like a 10% or a 20%, or based off of your mastery. They could basically steal the Windwalker talent or Windwalker mastery and incorporate that into a different mastery for Outlaw, instead of giving us extra auto attack hits or mastery hits with our offhand weapon, which is weird, and I feel like it's just so archaic. I think maybe Outlaw could benefit from that, but that is honestly the best that I can come up with. I'm currently okay with Roll the Bones being as it is. Again, I like the exclusivity of the spec, but I do want to see more people play it, and this is kind of my video to voice my thought processes on the concerns that I've seen on forums or I've heard from you guys. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. I'd like to hear you guys' opinions down below. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, and likes allow my videos to reach a wider audience. So if you want a lot more people to see this video, go ahead and hit a like so a lot more people can see and respond to their thoughts in the comments. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, discussions, BFA updates, 5.5.1 duels, go ahead and hit subscribe down below. We put out 2 videos a day, which is a regular amount of content for you, as well as hit the notification bell down below, as we stream on the channel pretty regularly, once every day, except for Thursdays is our day off. And if you guys want to catch the stream and even participate in the stream, US, EU, any region, feel free to hit the notification bell down below in order to be caught up on every single video and every single live stream that goes live. Thank you guys so much for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in another video.